Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Between the Sharks. I don't know what we're doing today, but stick around, it might actually be good. So I'm kind of jazzed right now on getting this engine together, but before we do that, it would make sense to pull these fenders off so I'm not leaning over them and damaging them and making them worse than they, already are. But before we do that, these are Model A fenders on a Model A frame, but we have modified them to fit the touring body. So we are using the factory mounts up front, and then the whole thing kind of swings out this way. In order to mount these, I feel like, you can see here, this is the new subframe for the body. This is the real Model A frame, and this is the end of the fender apron right here. It used to extend another 1.5 inches across the frame, but what I'm thinking is if we build a modular that sticks out this way, we can not only catch the fenders, but we can also catch that edge of the subframe, thus giving the body another mounting point, which will not hurt us at all. Guys got to root around a steel stash because it's not like I plan for these things ahead of time. So actually that might do it. Got some flat stock, got some other stock. Yeah, it's measure. So if I jam the old measuring stick in there, I'm seeing roughly 2.5 inches that we need to stick out. So even if our angle iron is the base, we might be jamming some flat stock on top of that, which is cool. We can do that. We can do that. We have a body mount here and we have a body mount back here. So adding a body and fender bracey mount right here isn't gonna hurt nothing. I'm thinking we want to avoid all of this because we got to drill some holes. Maybe even right there. I don't know. Let's go get our thingy. I also have this laying around. Mondo Ginormo angle. I'm not sure. It's like kind of been used as like a don't roll away thing, but maybe we'll repurpose it because there's a lot of things that can be used as a don't roll away thing. So this actually may be good enough. I've kind of jammed it in there. You can't really tell with the clamps the way they are and the actual factory fender braces, which are riveted on. So in order to get it in there, I'm gonna go ahead and cut it down. But before I cut it down, I'm gonna drill a hole in it because it's a lot easier to drill a hole when it's like there's something to hold on to, so it doesn't go trying to take off like a helicopter and cut you to little pieces, because it'll do that. Ask me how I know. Guys, you know I love this thing. We'll find a good spot for it. I don't know. Something like that. Maybe like that. Maybe like that. Nobody knows. Probably should have brought a clamp. Maybe I can borrow this clamp. I don't know. Nope, I shouldn't have done that. So I've got it measured 19 inches back from the rear crossmember horn. Seems like a good idea to go ahead and build the other one and clamp it on. You can see obviously why welding this in would be much more better once all this tin is off, and we can level it with the top of the frame because that's what we'll want it to be. I thought maybe I'll just pull everything apart, then weld the brackets on and all of that stuff, and then drill the holes when I go to do final assembly. But going ahead and drilling holes now is going to help me lock the rear part of the fender apron to a position based on the frame, so that when we go reassemble this whole thing, we'll do frame, some kind of fender welting, fenders, then we can put the pad that goes between the body and the fender so that everything doesn't squeak, and then land the body on top of all of that and make our, Model A T sandwich situation. So I'm drilling these holes. I hate drilling holes. 1, 2, 3, karate. Oh, clamps in the way. No karate. That will at least help us locate everything when it comes time to put this stuff back together. Now we just gotta get everything apart. All right, so it's exciting and exhausting all at once, but I think it's time to start pulling these fenders off, breaking this thing back down so that we can get the frame ready to go once and for all. The more daunting thing at the moment is that this garage is in its standard disaster mode, not its unusual, I guess I cleaned up. All this crap came out of the van when I did the van videos like 6 months ago, 8 months ago now, 9 months ago now. Who's counting? That bright light is the sun nearly setting, and it's Saturday. So, I can't say we've gotten all that much done, but we have been at it all day doing the traditional full junk shuffle around here. Couldn't even move. It's not great, but we can move now. Lost in time. Apparently, I have already torn this thing down, which, for the record, takes way less time than putting it together. So that should surprise nobody. Working backwards is a very common and usual and necessary step in hot rod building. That's not the same as doing stuff twice. It's, trust me, I know. On our list is motor mounts. We gotta solidify those, clean it up, make it, you know, less bad looking than that. We got the body mounts that we added back here. Whoa! You almost got nailed. Good thing. Good thing I moved quick. So we've got our body mounts here that are clamped on. At this point, we got one on either side that need work. We can get in, hit any parts of the subframe that are visible to us from this angle. Our gas tank mount needs some love, weldification, bracification, you know, just solidification. What I'm saying is this is an opportunity to solidify anything that is now accessible because we took the fenders off. I want to go ahead and start with these motor mount modifications because it looks like the least fun. Cutting plate steel is never fun unless you have one of those evolution saws. It'd be awful hard to jam that thing on here, but I like it so much. If I thought I could do it, I'd try it. I'm gonna try the old Sawzall first. All right. All right, gang, that's more than good enough to start welding this top layer in. I don't mind that. I'm gonna basically do like a nice little fillet weld in there, and that'll be super strong along the top, and we can get down on the sides as well. We just gotta do the other side, but you know, it's happening. We're doing it. Hot rodding. While we're at it, we're moving down the line with the welder on this side of the car. So we're gonna get that body mount that I just ground down, and then we're probably gonna just go in and hit anywhere on the subframe that isn't welded that I can see. We'll just go ahead and just, you know, work on down the line. Not so bad. And we gotta add some ventilation to the situation. You know, we just gotta keep our eyes out for the dogs, because, you know, a dog that watches welding does not watch much for long. So it's funnier than I meant it to be, but I'm serious. Just make sure your dog's not watching the pretty blue light. Speaking of. All right, I'm gonna burn through the same course of action over here on yonder side, and we'll catch up with you when that's done. Hopefully not long from now. All right, sports fans, so both sides have the same treatment done so far. The top of the motor mount's done and the body mounts are done, plus a little miscellaneous whatever I found back there while I was at it. All right, gang, here we are under the car. This is a huge bonus for having a lift. I used to do all this stuff laying on my back. The welds would pull right in your neck like all the slag. So this is way mo better, but we're under here because we need to assess what's not welded and then how to get into it. So we'll get the rest of the motor mount around the sides, underneath. I see a little spot right here where the boxing plate is not actually welded to the frame, and that's only problematic in the sense that, you know, as the motor rocks, it might push on this. So we'll go ahead and get that while we're in here. Now over on yonder side, Steering box is kind of in the way, so we'll at least pull the steering shaft out. Never did trim this bracket. We did put some temporary bolts in there. That's not right there. So mark this, we'll take it out. Same boxing plate issue on this side, so we'll weld it up. This is reason number 228. No, it's all the same reason that I didn't want to weld the steering shafts in, and I don't think it's a good idea, is because, well, we're already ready to take them out because we got to get behind it. All right, first things first, we're gonna mark these bracketries. That ought to be good. We'll trim this off, pull it all apart, and then before we get it back together, we'll go ahead and give it a, you know, high dollar paint job. I don't know why I think I have wrench hands today. Apparently I don't, so I'll have to go get the right thing. Off you go, pal. There we go. Considering she's not tack welded, we ought to go ahead and do that too. But that's not too bad right there. She'll hold. Gang, I'm about to grind on this little bracket here. Just got me thinking, you know? Like, take pride in your craftsmanship, that is important, but also remember, hot rodding like this, it's not a competition. Like, I don't care if you grew up like me with the Discovery Channel in the early 2000s and whatever else, and saw everything, Biker Build-Offs, American Hot Rod, Chip Foose, like all these shows that kind of put a competitive edge on this stuff. This is for funsies, man. This is for your own enjoyment, to learn stuff. Like, just do what you gotta do, right? I'm just saying this as a warning because guys that try to build stuff for the first time, especially, that want to make every bracket internet photograph perfect and stuff, you're gonna burn out or your car is gonna take forever. This thing is gonna be a Class A beater jalopy, but it's gonna be done and it's gonna be fun. And if you followed this channel, even getting it there has just taken a lot longer than I expected. You know, maybe you guys too. We've been at it for a minute now. I just keep thinking about this idea of like hot rodding to impress, and you know, it reminds me of guys at car shows. I feel like the guy most likely to pick your car apart at a car show is the guy least likely to have actually driven an old car there. Anyway, on that note, let's just, you know, jam some paint on this thing. So my very favorite paint for chassis stuff is Rust-Oleum Satin Black. In my opinion, it looks a lot like Eastwood's Chassis Black, which is a beautiful paint, don't get me wrong. The difference is I can get this at the hardware store. Now the spray stuff does not look as good as the stuff in the can with a brush, and it doesn't hold up as well. So, you know, make your decisions. But I feel like if I was painting a frame from scratch, like I might have to do on the Mercury, we're gonna be brushing on this stuff out of a can. Right now, we're gonna squirt this bracket with some black paint, and that's gonna be good enough for us. Good enough, gang. All right, gang, while that bracket's out there drying, I'm gonna go ahead and give these splines a tape wrap because I do not want any weld sticky slags getting on them. Sure they'd come off, but let's just go ahead and skip that step in the first place. Ha. Hi-ya. While the welder's humming away, I'm gonna get back here. There's a couple spots on the bottom of the subframe that I can get. I was gonna do the gas tank bracketries while we were out here, but remembering that it's a bolt-on piece, that'll be very easy to go ahead and pull off, weld up on the bench, get a coat of paint on it and all of that stuff. So I don't think I'm gonna mess with that with today's project, but we're gonna go ahead and dive in and get these last couple bits on the subframe while we're in here. All right, gang, we've got the pedal bracket welded on. We've got our pedal assembly as a bolt-on. It's in a previous video. Got the sides of our motor mounts done. Underside of the subframe. If you guys have been watching the program, especially on the chassis stuff, there's a variety of attractiveness to our welds. You know, some of the welds on our, you know, wishbone mounts, not the most beautiful things in the world. They're more than structural, but they're not like a straight bead of all this stuff. Some of the other stuff we've done is much better. I may or may not grind any of this down. I'm covering it in fenders. The frame's really not on display. Grinding it down is definitely not going to strengthen the weld. It's just for looks. So you guys do you. I understand that fit and finish and polish is very exciting in this internet age, but I'm sticking with what's actually necessary for the car because I need this to continue to move forward for my own sanity. So guys, as always, thank you for watching Between the Sharks. Consider subscribing if you enjoy this kind of stuff. We're gonna keep plugging away at it. It doesn't feel like much of a change. In fact, it looks like we worked backwards, but the reality is things are no longer being held on by clamps. They are actually final welded. Final welding is a really big step. Like, it takes a lot of work to get to the mock-up phase, but once you've approved your mock-up and you think that everything's where it needs to go and you start actually welding it, things start to move pretty quick because you've done all the hard work to get here. But this is the step that checks it off the list, and that's significant. So I look forward to getting back out here this week, make a brand new video, doing something, moving this thing right along. Hopefully, we get her on the road sooner than later. It looks really far away, but I can almost see it now, which is pretty incredible. So good luck on your projects out there. We will see you next time on Between the Sharks.